All right, today we're going to explore Vipassana meditation. Specifically, we're diving into the technique as it's taught by S.N. Goenka. It's presented as a really practical way to tackle one of the most fundamental human problems there is: why we suffer. So, let's just jump right in with the question that people have been asking for, well, forever. We're all searching for happiness, right? So why do we so often end up feeling miserable instead?
You know, it's a universal thing. Every single one of us, deep down, just wants to live peacefully. And yet, we get angry, we get anxious, we get sad, we feel agitated. And it's not some kind of personal failure, it's just part of the human condition that we all share. Now, the source material we're looking at actually calls this a universal sickness. And we're not talking about a physical illness here, but this really deep-seated mental pattern that just causes us to suffer.
And here's the diagnosis. The real cause of our misery isn't our boss or the traffic or our family. It's generated right inside our own minds. Think about it. Anytime you generate real negativity, like anger or hatred, you are the very first person to suffer from it. You become miserable long before anyone else does.
Okay, so if it's an internal job, what's the actual mechanism? What is this habit our minds have that just keeps churning out all this negativity and unhappiness?
Well, it all comes down to this deep, almost unconscious habit. Whenever we experience something pleasant, our mind just automatically reacts with craving. I love this, I need more. And whenever something unpleasant happens, it reacts with aversion. I hate this, get it away from me. It's this constant knee-jerk reacting that's the real root of the problem.
And every single time we react like that, we create what's called a sankhara. You can think of it like a mental knot, a conditioning. We're not just reacting in that one moment, we're actually digging the groove of that habit deeper and deeper, adding another layer to our stockpile of misery.
So, if the sickness is this constant reaction, then the cure has to be about breaking that habit. And this is where we're introduced to the prescription, a technique of pure, non-judgmental observation.
The word Vipassana literally means to see things as they really are. And that's the key. It's not a religion. It's not a philosophy you have to buy into. It's more like a scientific tool for observing the reality inside yourself, a way to really understand your own nature.
Now, here's where it gets really clever. How does the technique actually work? Well, it uses this undeniable, super intimate connection between your mind and your body. The two are in constant communication. And that communication happens through what's called Vedana, or bodily sensation. I mean, you know this from your own life, right? When you get angry, it's not just a thought. You feel heat or pressure or tightness in your chest. Every single thing that happens in the mind shows up as a sensation somewhere in the body, and that is the key to observing the mind.
So let's see how this all comes together in the actual practice. If we can feel our mental states as physical sensations, how on earth do we use that to change these super deep habits?
And this is it. This is the whole practice in a nutshell. You learn to move your attention through your body, and you just observe whatever sensation comes up. Could be heat, cold, tingling, pain, pleasure, anything. But you train yourself not to react. You just watch it with a balanced mind, with equanimity. This chart just makes it so clear. On the left, that's the old way, our default setting. A sensation comes up, the mind blindly reacts, and bam, a new sankhara is created, and the cycle of misery just keeps going. But now look at the right, the path of liberation. A sensation arises, but you just observe it. You don't create a new sankhara. And even better, an old one from the past gets to come to the surface and just burn itself out.
Let's just walk through that one more time. So a sensation appears. Let's say it's a simple itch. The old habit kicks in immediately. Ugh, an itch. I don't like it. I have to scratch it. That's aversion. The new practice is to just feel it, to observe the sensation of itchiness objectively, understanding that it's temporary, it arose, and it will pass away. By doing this, you're literally retraining your brain at the deepest, most fundamental level.
So what's the end game here? What happens when you patiently and persistently work at changing this deep habit pattern of the mind? Well, it's a process of purification. When you stop throwing new wood on the fire by reacting all the time, the old firewood, that huge stock of past sankharas, starts to burn off. They come up as sensations. You watch them with that balanced mind, and they just dissolve. They lose their power. They get eradicated. And the result of all this is a profound, fundamental change. We're not just talking about feeling a little bit calmer. We're talking about genuine freedom from misery.
This leads to a life of real peace, real harmony, not just inside yourself but with everyone around you. Because as the mind becomes pure, it just naturally fills with compassion. Ultimately, it's liberation.
And so, we end on this question. The entire laboratory you need to understand reality and to find your own freedom is right here, within the framework of your own body. The path doesn't start with believing anything, it starts with a simple yet incredibly profound experiment in objective observation. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.